So here we are. Hey, Dr. Russ, one more time. Here we got another medical student here to tell us what it is about why they want to be a doctor, how they got into medical school. So tell me, why, how about that? Tell me why you wanted to be a doc.
I wanted to be a doctor because I was interested in helping people. I wanted a career where I got to work with people. But I also was very interested in human physiology and human biology, and was interested in learning more about that. So that was what led me to medical school.
Okay. And what, now, my understanding is that you did not go straight through.
Yeah, that's correct. I graduated as an undergraduate student and had not taken any science classes, any of the prerequisites to medical school. And it wasn't until after I was out of college that I decided I wanted to go back to school. So I had to go back to undergraduate school to take all of the science prerequisites, to take the MCAT, and apply to school. So all told, I was out of college for about 5 or 6 years before I came back to medical school.
And what about your GPA before you left? I mean, you were, did you, and as far as your MCAT scores and those kind of things, were you outside of the mean for where you were, or was it something your test scores, you looked good on paper?
My GPA was actually relatively low compared to my class average. I don't remember precisely what my GPA was, but it was quite a bit lower. But it also had a huge sampling size. I had something like 160 undergraduate credit hours on my transcript, and some of them in non-science classes that the school fortunately didn't really weight that heavily. My science classes all went really well, and I did well on the MCAT. My MCAT score was a 35, and so I think, and that was a little higher than my class average, and so I think that kind of helped to gloss over my lower GPA.
And the basic science classes, though, you scored well in those classes. You got good grades in your classes and lab and stuff. So after you decided to be a doctor, it kind of came around and you buckled down, and because it became important, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how about, did you have to retake any of your classes?
I never had to retake any of the science classes. When I was an undergraduate, there was a history class I had taken that I didn't pass, and I retook that class.
Just to get that passing grade on there?
Yeah, and you know, I retook it at the time just because I personally wanted to do better in that class the second time around, and then it turned out actually being an issue when I applied to school. I had to go back to my undergraduate school, meet that professor, and get her to write a letter explaining why I failed that class the first time, had to retake it.
And that was for the medical school?
That was to apply to medical school. She really didn't remember me very well.
But how long ago was this then? I mean, so you go back to your professor after what?
Yeah, I took her class, I guess, in 1999, and then I went back in 2004. No, it would have been spring of 2005 was when I went back to meet with her to ask her to write this letter for me.
Mm-hmm.
But she looked at the old transcripts. She kept all her records. So she saw like what my grades were on all the tests, and she wrote a very nice letter saying that she'd met with me and that everything, that I retook the class. And it was kind of just basically reported my scores.
Mm-hmm.
I was really nervous about it, but obviously I got accepted to school, so the university didn't think that was that big of a deal.
And tell me about how many schools did you apply to?
I applied to 5 schools.
And how many interviews did you get?
I only interviewed at IU.
You only interviewed at IU?
Mm-hmm.
And so was that an early decision thing, or not if you applied to 5, I guess, right? You said you applied late.
Yeah, I applied very late. I didn't submit my AMCAS application until right before Thanksgiving, which is about as late as you can apply to start school for the following term. I applied to IU, Tufts, Boston University, the University of Vermont, and Wright State University in Ohio. And all of them sent me an early rejection, except for Tufts, who told me that I was waitlisted for interviews. And actually, the application process with them was very nice. They kept me, like once every couple of weeks, I would get a letter from them explaining exactly what was happening with my application. But I only actually interviewed at IU, which is where I wanted to go the most because I'm an in-state resident, and
Mhm.
it makes the most sense. I just didn't feel like I was a strong enough applicant to just apply to one school.
Sure, sure. How about now, as far as the interview goes, did you have a story that you told? I mean, was there anything in particular that?
I had a very interesting interview experience. As discussed, I was out of college for a while before I came back to school, and in that meantime, I worked at the IU School of Medicine for the Department of Psychiatry, and because of that, I knew a lot of people on campus. Just by luck of the draw, the person that interviewed me is someone that I had known for a while, and so I went into the interview. We kind of spent maybe like 15 minutes talking about interview stuff in my application, and then sat for another hour and just chit-chatted because we knew each other.
Well, that's cool. Now, that's interesting. So, did you have another person that interviewed you?
The other person that was supposed to interview me the day before left to go to a conference and couldn't make it. So I just had the one interview. She didn't know that, the person that interviewed me didn't know that she was going to be interviewing me. She never finds out until the day of the interview who she's been assigned to. So it was really just this luck of the draw thing that it was someone that I knew. And so there really wasn't, my interview was very low stress compared to some of my classmates.
And so this person kind of knew you, knew your story, knew your background a little bit, and so it worked out a little bit easier with what was going on. How about what would you tell a young, impressionable freshman college student that says, "I want to be a doctor"? What would you tell these guys?
I would absolutely recommend that they stick with it, and that if that's what they want to do, they should go for it. Obviously, they need to work hard in all of their classes, especially their science classes. But I would also encourage them to take non-science classes. Get away from just doing the pre-med group where you only take, biology and chemistry classes, and really see what all their university has to offer. Those things make you a well-rounded student. It makes it easier to relate to patients when you know something beyond just science, because most of your patients don't know science at all. And so if you can converse with them with anything, I think it helps to build a rapport. And work hard, but have fun, because you're only going to be young once, and there's always time to go back and work really hard later if you have to.
That's certainly good. How about is there anything else you want to tell them? Because I don't think I have any other questions for you there. I think fresh out.
No, I can't think of anything else.
Checking my pant leg here, see if I can find anything else I wanted to write down or anything like that. Okay, so you are, let's take a look here. You're actually, well, it was a poor waveform, so I think you, 97 doesn't seem right. Take a deep breath in and out. Let's see what happens here. There we go. Okay. Well, you're 98 now. Coming up.